Like, look at that. Crypto right now has been growing, but these two had ETFs, right? And now with the XRP ETF I feel like that's more bullish for me than the rate cuts that we're going to be seeing. This is the reason why companies are buying right now Bitcoin and Ethereum, is the main reason they can buy it, because they are listed under ETFs. It's a lot easier to buy than going on an exchange. So you can see here that there's going to be a big inflow, and in my personal opinion, this could be 1 to 3 billion inflows coming into XRP.
Capital for the long term. Now, here's the punchline. Literally, right after Trump signs this executive order. Now, obviously, Harvard could have purchased the Bitcoin a long time ago. It was disclosed recently. I'm not saying this was a direct reaction to Trump, but this was the biggest punchline I'd seen.
No.
It was like, okay, I'm living in a city that's literally eating itself. Our pensions own a bunch of crap because they own a bunch of commercial real estate that's marked down 85, 90%, and they own a bunch of bonds.
XRP will go up, but it will take time. Bitcoin, Ethereum didn't got to thousands in hours or days. It took a lot of time, say months to years coming up. Definitely. You know, this is the thing. XRP took 10 years to get partnerships where it is at right now.
They're down 5 years in a row.
Thank you guys for smashing that like.
The fact that the pensions are in trouble makes the city in trouble, and the fact that the city's in trouble, the pensions are in trouble, and they're finding more money to give to the pensions. And here's the punchline, guys. What's the way out? What's the only way out? Let's go back to this. It's step 3 is the problem. The money they have is losing value. Listen.
They're going to reinvest this money into XRP ETFs. Like, we're already going to be seeing that.
You cannot get out of this if you keep buying bonds. Like, the bonds are dead. The 60-40 portfolio is dead. These endowments, these pensions, these sovereigns, they have to start owning something else. This, I cannot overestimate how big of a deal it is that Harvard bought over $100 million worth of Bitcoin exposure.
$100 billion. Even Harvard bought it again. Harvard, the college, bought Bitcoin. So would they buy XRP if that was an ETF? Who knows? But 116 million in it, 116K, a very high price. And whales are buying now at $3 above. This is a very bullish indicator that it wants to go higher. If people buy at $3, again, not financial advice, is a good indicator that people want to get it at even more, right? Especially if they buy such big amounts that it doesn't even drop below $3 or $2.75 or whatever it is. It's still a very bullish indicator.
Mallers highlights this being a significant development in the financial ecosystem. He also suggests that BlackRock, under the guidance of Larry Fink, leads the charge in obtaining regulatory approval for Bitcoin ETFs. Moves like this, he contends, will underscore Bitcoin's enduring relevance as an asset and its potential as a hedge against currency devaluation.
Pensions, endowments, sovereign wealth funds are buying Bitcoin because you cannot sustain and survive on bonds. You cannot sustain and survive on a portfolio basket index of stocks.
I feel like, yeah, if you really want to be, like, a lot of rich people are buying bonds and stocks because they give 7% a return and they're much safer. That's why a lot of retail has pumped into Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum, is because, yeah, it's 10 times more, maybe even 20 times more risky, maybe even 50 times more risky. But with the expenses right now, people are looking for fast gains. Like, a lot of people don't have a lot of time anymore. So the XRP holders, you know, they finally rallied 600%. So if we divide 600% divided by 7%, so it would take about 85 years to get where, if you put it into index funds. And I'm not saying index funds are bad. I think they're actually better than the XRP. I'm just saying if it gives like 8% a year, the stock market, literally XRP gave about 450 this year and 600% like in the last year and a half. That is 56 years that you would need to wait in the stock market, you know, to go 4x. So just let that sink in, like in a safe environment. which is
It's
7%
dead.
a year.
And the magnitude of
45
what this
years.
means for both Bitcoin and all of our future is profound. This is absolutely a new monetary era.
That's why a lot of people went
The
into
amount
XRP.
of capital that has to flow into Bitcoin and find a new home is profound. And this is no longer speculative. On this show, I spend months, I really think so. If I ran a pension, if I were in charge of funding.
And exactly, the XRP is a business model that they're working on. These payment transfers is still going to keep working on the next 10 to 20 to 30 years. Basically like a company, especially if they go online with the Ripple IPO in 2025.
Teachers in Chicago. But now we're living it. That's an executive order from the President of the United States. That is the most prestigious university, not only in America, in the world, that has a $100 million+ Bitcoin position. So again, another massive deal that if you were to tell me a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would have never believed you. Fed quietly publishes bombshell article discussing gold revaluation. The idea has come up in the context of helping to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve or a sovereign wealth fund. So the Fed went out and published an article that talked about revaluing the gold on their balance sheet. Obviously with Bretton Woods, we marked gold at $35 an ounce. Gold is no longer $35 an ounce. The price, obviously in the free market, floats freely. The dollar has gotten debased, and the Fed specifically noted.
So yeah, it's also hard to transfer gold, right? Are you going to transfer like 10 million gold on a plane, or let's say 200 million? With Bitcoin, you could just send it, right? With XRP, it's going to be on the ledger itself, on the XRPL, which is where the big amount of money comes in.
The data. Let's get into the scoreboard. This isn't just talk. There's action here. There's data. There's proof of work. This is Bitcoin and gold risk-adjusted returns. Look at all of this crap over here. Look at this. Long-term treasuries. That's what's funding my police workforce. Why is that our savings account? Look at this crap. It does. It's true. There is no second best. When you understand Bitcoin, it's not 1% of your portfolio. I can't stand when people say...
So look at that. It literally gives more returns than Bitcoin right now. So XRP would be even on top of Bitcoin. So yeah, I feel like that he is very bearish on the stocks, but the real thing is, yes, like stocks shouldn't be forgotten about. They are still very strong gainers and they will definitely move in the markets. But there are returns like XRP. You got to realize that this XRP was super risky, but it paid off. And it's definitely paying off more than gold. So here's the thing. Long-term treasuries are just like short-term. US real estate, unless the real estate rises in value, people are going to be buying it. Real estate is becoming expensive. So people want to have something that's going to grow and, develop its knowledge as well. Bitcoin doesn't do that. Bitcoin is a great store of value, but it's not really, developing anything while it exists. It just stays there. But XRP is kind of like, buying it, it's growing in value, and then it also has utility that the companies and banks will be forced to use with the lower payments. So yeah.
Either you're an idiot or you're a liar, because you either don't understand Bitcoin and you're lying that you've spent the time that you do, or you're an idiot. And when you found the winner, when you found the solution, you took 1%. Why would I allocate 99% to the loser? Explain that to me, smart man.
So he's saying they're just going to buy 1%. The thing is, Bitcoin and XRP are still super risky. So a lot of people will still hold their stocks. But slowly and more surely, like we went from people holding 1% of XRP to holding 5% of XRP. That is rising. More people are holding more amount of crypto now. It's becoming more safer.
You can't just...
So yeah, this is what's happening right now is crypto is getting stronger, faster, and better, and it's getting more stable and becoming the future.